Hi everyone, welcome to Pet Star, a Doc of Detox show. I'm Abby Michelle, here with my amazing co-host, Dr. Marlene Siegel. How are you doing today, Dr. Siegel?
Abby, I'm doing fantastic, and I am coming from a new location today. I am at the Holistic Veterinary Conference that's in Orlando, Florida, and we somehow lucked out, and we are in the presidential suite of the
Ooh,
Gaylord Palms. And oh
lucky.
my goodness, it is amazing. We
So
have four
beautiful.
balconies overseeing the whole atrium. The rooms are amazing. It's bigger than most people's homes. It is
Wow,
just luxurious.
lucky. And how long are
I,
you there for?
I'm here till
Oh,
Sunday.
what a treat.
Yeah, I'm
That's
really
wonderful.
excited.
Yeah, no kidding. I would be too. That's great. Well, it's
Yeah.
my honor to be here with you today.
So
I'm
just about,
filling in for Dr.
thank
Wolf.
you.
And on today's episode, we are going to be talking about lessons your pet can teach you. And that is why, come here. I brought on a very special guest today, my nephew Hugo, and he has taught me so many things over the past 3 years, and I'm so grateful each and every day. So say hello. Say hello to everyone, Hugo. Okay, he's like,
Hi,
I have to distract
Hugo.
him with a treat here. Look at the camera. Can you see him?
Yeah.
Hi,
Now
buddy.
Hugo's a Frenchie, correct?
Yes, a French bulldog crossed with a Boston Terrier. So he just turned 3 years old on Saturday. We share the same birthday. So I turned 30, he turned three. He's my little birthday buddy.
See, there
And
must be some sacred messaging in there.
totally 33 together, right? Magic number. Love it. But he's a little rambunctious, so he'll come in and out on the episode today. He's sitting beside me on a chair, just wanting that treat so badly. You'll get it. Don't
Awesome.
you worry. So before we get started, I just wanted to let everyone know that if you can't watch our shows live, you can go to docofdetoxshow.com or go to our Doc of Detox YouTube channel. On our YouTube channel, you have the option of using closed caption, where the spoken words will come up on the screen in the language of your choice. And then before we get started, I do have a couple other announcements for all you beautiful viewers out there. We are going to be in St. Petersburg, Florida from October 22nd to November 9th for our combined certification courses. That is our Whole Life Coach, Wolf Deep Tissue, and Wolf Non-Surgical certifications. If you haven't signed up yet, there are only 2 spots left to join our team of New World practitioners, and we would love to see you there. And if you're interested in just learning more about our amazing Wolf Deep Tissue technique, tune in tomorrow where we are having a special Doc of Detox show on how to live pain-free, where we will be demonstrating our therapy and talking about why and how it is the most effective therapy in the world. And this special will be airing live at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And again, that's tomorrow, which is Thursday, October 4th. So let's find out what we can learn from our beautiful fur babies. And there is no one better to teach us than the world-renowned veterinarian, Dr. Marlene Siegel. Take it away, Dr. Siegel.
Well, thank you very much, Abby. So the first thing that I want to start with is acknowledging the shift that we have in pet patient or pet parent relationships. You know, years ago, people had pets and they were always important and people loved their pets. But nowadays, we have seen a shift into soul pets. And they're not just family members. These are animals that are very meaningful in people's lives, like to the point where they have a better relationship with these two-legged and four-legged animals than they do some of their personal, like their human family members.
Yeah,
So it's really interesting that that bonding in there is very unique to this time space dimension, I think.
totally.
And what I find is that not only are we seeing the shift in the relationship between the pet and the pet parent, but we're also seeing that these animals are mirroring pieces of information, whether it be health or emotional healing that needs to occur. And that's being mirrored through the pet. Now, sometimes it takes a little interpretation. It takes somebody like myself as an outsider who can look at that picture and go, isn't that interesting that the pet is mirroring this particular problem? And then you talk to the owner and you find out they may have a very similar problem, or it may be bringing up emotional baggage that the owner's been carrying and it's showing up in the pet.
Yeah.
I'm actually writing a book. Don't even ask me how long it's going to take because it's just evolving. I
Okay.
know when I say that to Daryl, he wants to have a date when it's done,
Yeah.
but I'm still adding stories to it. And they're really miraculous stories of pets that have come in with their sole parent. I mean,
Right.
they're not just relationships, these are really special relationships. And because of the animal, the people are willing to make changes that they wouldn't have even done for themselves.
Yeah.
So it's so interesting that they're willing to make those extra changes because of their love and dedication and devotion to that fur baby.
Yeah. And I see that a lot too with a lot of my friends and their pets and just people I come into contact with. And people just share so much about their pets with you when you are walking down the street. And I don't know, lots of people don't like that, but I'm always like, can I pet your dog or can I play with your dog? And I'm always interacting with them. And the stories that you hear from people are just amazing. And the love that they have for their pets is like no other I've ever seen before. It's really shows you unconditional love.
Right. And it's when people can start modeling that, and
Mm-hmm.
unconditional love, of course, is, I think, at the end of the day, at the end of anything, that's really what we're here for. How
Definitely.
can we transform, transmute, and shift everything else that is meaningless
Mm-hmm.
that we're putting so much focus on? How can we shift that into the ultimate, which is unconditional love, not just for them, but for ourselves?
Definitely. And that's a big thing too. I find with today's society, it's so many different shifts and people aren't so committed to one another anymore. We don't really have that same unconditional love that was once all over the world. And I find so many people are more they're bringing in pets into their lives more and more because they do admit that unconditional love. They bring that into us, and we want to share unconditional love with the world because of our pets. It's a
Yeah.
different shift because, like, especially with social media and all these different things, everybody's hiding kind of behind a message board, and they're able to be harsher and not as kind and loving to one another. And that's such a big thing that's lacking in this world that we need to bring back to our humankind, right?
I agree. And, as you brought up social media, here you have a media which connects you to millions of people, right? You're more connected physically to these people, at least, well, physically, I mean by sight and by words, but you're not emotionally connected to them.
Yeah.
In fact, it really makes people even feel more isolated because they see other people out there posting the this and the that, and they themselves go, oh, well, my relationship isn't like that, and I don't get to travel like that, and
Right.
my job isn't like that. And so they become actually more isolated.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that that's the reason why we're turning to our pets more, but I think there certainly is something to be said about being able to turn to an animal that can give you that unconditional love, and you feel accepted with just because you are who you are.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the thing, like, yeah, with social media, everybody's comparing their lives to all these other people, even though they're portraying only like one part of their life, right? So
Right.
it's nice
So
that
the
we can come home to our beautiful little fur babies and feel so much comfort and love from them because we don't really
yes.
get that from everywhere anymore.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about some of the experiences that I've had that I see as a trend. So, one of the first things I do when people come in with their pet, and we're talking about the animals that are sick, our cancer patients, our animals with chronic disease.
Yeah.
And as I talk to the owner and I ask them, one of the questions is, why are you here? And I'm not referring to here as in my office. I'm referring to, why are you on the planet? Why did you show up here?
Yeah.
What's your purpose in life? Why are you accomplishing that? And it's interesting that most people, when they go to answer, they say either, well, I've thought about it, but I really don't know the answer. Or very rarely they'll say, well, I don't know, I never even thought about it. But
Yeah.
most people have actually asked themselves that question: why am I here? What is my purpose in life? And so I help them to see that by looking at their skills and their likes, their desires, what they're good at, what they're passionate for, and they can start putting that together to see not only what their gifts are, but then they turn that into a bigger thing and they go, how can I serve the greater population? How can I serve the universe? How can I
Mm-hmm.
serve the world with my gift?
Right.
And I say, look around and see what does the world need that you can provide. And oftentimes it is related to some kind of a love or caregiving that they have for animals.
That's amazing. That's such a beautiful thing to be able to um, connect your clients or your patients' pets with their passions and to amalgamate the two together and make this world a more beautiful place using our fur babies to do so.
Well, yes. And you know how, at least in our woo woo world, we always say nothing happens by accident.
Hmm.
Yes.
Right.
So think about that. If we really truly believe that, that nothing happens by accident, then that pet that owner has, that has whatever that condition is at that particular moment in their lives, there's a significance there. And we don't let that significance go by. So I look at what kind of animal is it? What
Hmm.
kind of challenge are they going through? What are the emotional attachments that the animal has to that disease? Now, I apologize to anybody who I lose them on this, but just trust me when I tell you that all dis-ease has trapped emotions associated with it.
Yeah.
So if we accept that is true, and we also accept as true that all things happen for a reason, then the trapped emotions that are held by the animal in conjunction with whatever their challenge is related to something going on in the human's world, in their pet parents' world.
Right.
So it's very, very common for me to see an animal with digestive disorders. And then as I'm talking to the owner, it just turns out that they have digestive disorders. Maybe they have acid reflux or GERD, or they have food allergies or food intolerances or celiac disease or whatever that is.
Hmm.
And so all the changes that they have to make for their pet, they go, oh, would that be something that would be helpful for me?
Right.
And so they start making those changes. They start taking probiotics. They start going on digestive enzymes. They cut a little sugar out of their diet and they start eating healthier fats. So that's one example that we see very, very commonly, is that the pet will mirror a problem in the pet parent.
Right.
I had a lady one time who her dog had persistent urinary tract infections. And when she came to me, she was at her wit's end because she kept going to the vet and they give her antibiotics and the infection would come back. And so I ended up working with her to treat the root cause of that problem. But I also knew that she was involved in that. And she just looked at me in amazement and go, how did you know? How did you know I was having those kind of problems? And I just had to smile because it was quite apparent. And the dog was reflecting that for me to be able to pick that up.
Right.
So I just had to gently ask the questions so that she could give me the answer.
Right. And I know that pets are very empathetic, and that's a part of the reasons why they're picking those things up. But does this have anything to do with um, the pet parents feeding the pets similar foods to what they're eating, and that's affecting them as well?
Well, that's a big, broad topic. And nutrition is, we could spend days and
Yeah.
days talking about nutrition. So, absolutely, if the people are eating a low quality, low nutritionally valued diet and they give that to the pet, then absolutely they're
Yeah.
going to cause harm in the pet as well.
And
Um,
do you find
so,
that a lot of the times some of your clients, when they're coming to you, they aren't doing that, but it's just energetically these pets are picking up those similar disorders or diseases because of the energy that's just transferring into them?
yes, and I'm going to explain this because
Yeah.
this is not even woo woo stuff. This
Yeah.
is actual physics. So there is a principle in physics called entrainment.
Hmm.
If you've ever gone to a speaker like a Tony Robbins event or somewhere where there's a really awesome motivational speaker, and you're listening to that person and you're getting all psyched up and revved up and you're going, I can do that too. And you just leave super empowered.
Yeah.
Well, what's happening is you're in training to the energy of that speaker. So you are linking up with them. You're literally taking on part of that energy. Now,
Oh, audio just cut
is
out. There we
just
go.
sucking you dry.
Sorry, the audio just cut out a little
I
bit there,
know.
Marlene.
Okay, so let me
Yeah.
just repeat
Yeah,
that part
perfect. Thank you.
because I saw you froze as well.
Yeah.
So we were talking about the entrainment principle, where when you're around somebody who has great energy, you pick up that energy, you actually entrain to that, and you take it on, and you come up to their vibrational level. But also we have our energy vampires, and
Right.
these are the people that suck you dry. When you get done being around them, you have to go take a nap.
Oh, yeah.
Well, our pets entrain to those energies as well. So they literally can pick up the vibration. So, emotions are all on a scale. We have the lowest vibrating emotion, which is shame.
Mm-hmm.
And then it goes all the way up through anger, frustration, bitterness, blame, yada, yada.
Yeah.
And then you come across to the high vibrating emotions, which are gratitude, love, joy. Love is your highest. Well, these animals can feel that vibrational pattern. So they entrain to it just like we do.
Mm-hmm.
What I think is amazing is once we teach pet owners to recognize what those low vibrating frequencies are, the emotions, which are energy themselves. So everything's energy,
Mm-hmm.
including our emotions. Once we get to recognize that, you can actually shift it. You can create a different vibrational pattern. Obviously, you want to go to the higher side. And so when we are able to identify those trapped emotions and we were attached, we can literally do exercises that move the dial and then take them into the higher vibrational patterns. And it is watching life transforming things when people get that.
That's
They can let
amazing.
go of garbage that they've been carrying through the universe for eons,
Yeah.
and it just frees them up to be able to really live the bigger version of who they came here to live to be.
Yeah. And so these exercises, Dr. Siegel, are these going to be in your book? Are these things that you teach with your patients when they come to see you, or how can people learn more about them?
I do teach them how to do it. I teach them how to recognize it. I teach them how to do applied kinesiology to identify them,
Okay.
and then how to release it. But it's really, Abby, it's very simple.
Mm-hmm.
All you really have to do is pay attention to your thoughts.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so through a given day, when you start having negative thoughts, then holy tamale,
Yeah.
that's the very thing that you need to work on.
Right.
So our brain has stored all of these thoughts and emotions. What I find fascinating is the very emotions that you have to deal with are the ones that show up in your life.
Right.
So if you keep seeing a pattern of something, that pattern is there to be your sign. Here's your sign that that's the very thing that you need to work on. And
Yeah.
whether it shows up in the animal or that them to somebody like myself who can put it out on the table so that now they can see it,
Mm-hmm.
whatever that looks like, the end result is the healing occurs.
Right. And that's a lot of what we teach with our Braveheart training as well. Whenever you have that negative thought, you want to snap your love band and replace that with a positive thought and continually reprogramming it. And just people are flicking their love bands, love bands, sometimes 300 times a day, because that's how many negative thoughts are running through their head. And the more and more you do it, and the more you stick with it and working with your emotions and reprogramming your brain, the better you're going to feel, the better your health is going to be, the better your pet's health is going to be, of course, and you're just going to be living a more in your life is going to be more in tune with the universal consciousness. It's going to be so much better.
Well, there's a lot more coming out nowadays that help people to understand that there is a documentary called Heal,
Yeah.
Heal, and I believe you can watch it on iTunes. I want to say it's $3 or $4.
Okay.
It is a fabulous documentary, and it explains how these emotions are a part of our dis-ease.
Mm-hmm.
Another one, it's a two-part documentary called E with a dash motions. So it's emotions,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a dash or a hyphen in between the E and the M.
Yeah.
And that's available on fmtv.com, which is Food Matters TV.
Mm-hmm.
It is you got to pay to see it, but it is phenomenal. And once we start recognizing that there really is an emotional attachment to everything that we have,
Mm-hmm.
then you can start looking for the patterns. You can start recognizing some of the language that you're saying to yourself and realize that now you have an opportunity. Here's how I describe it to my owners. I say, imagine you have a computer, and your computer has all these files in it. Well, you can't stand across the room and point at the computer and go, delete, 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 right?
Yeah.
Nothing's going to happen because you have to go up to the computer and then you have to turn it on and then you have to pull up the document list.
Yeah.
Now, once you pull up the document list, now you get to look at the documents, right? And as you're looking at that document list, you get to say, well, here's one that isn't even relevant anymore. At one time, it must have been, but it isn't important now. So you get to decide, do I want to keep cluttering my hard drive up with that one document, or do I want to remove that document, make space for something that would be more serving for you now?
Right.
So that's how I try to explain to people that when you are thinking about your life and when you're reviewing your thoughts and you're paying attention, this is huge. You got to pay attention, right? You can't be going down the luge without a steering wheel. You're just going to keep hitting the sides.
Yeah.
And then you crash at the end. So you need to be taking control and saying, where am I going and how am I going to get there? And what are my thoughts? So the emotional body is like your GPS. It is literally your navigation center for life. If you are feeling a lot of resistance and you just can't seem to get out of the mog, you're bogged down all the time, you can't seem to move forward, the doors are shutting and you just can't move forward. That is the universe basically saying to you, wrong direction. Now, if we were paying attention, we were conscious, we would go, let me back up, and let me see, is there another path that would have less resistance that may be able to get me where I would need to go?
Yeah.
But instead, for those people who aren't really conscious, they're pushing against the wall.
Totally.
Well, how's that working for you?
Yeah, and that's a big thing too. Like, if somebody has spent a great amount of time working towards a certain goal and that the way that they were going ended up kind of going in the wrong direction and it's become more of a mistake. So many people get stuck in their ways because they've spent so much time and energy on that specific project that they'll keep trying to fight to make it work. But sometimes we just need to take a step back and recollect our thoughts and look around for that new open path, because it's the bigger mistake is sticking with the mistake. You can always reroute and find the right path to take.
Absolutely. So tying our pets back in, it's always interesting to me that the people who are most unconscious are the ones that typically come in with the sickest pet. And what happens is they have to now slow down. Their priority system is now changed because instead of being so busy and preoccupied and distracted, now they're faced with the mortality of this beloved pet. And now all of a sudden, they're willing to slow down, to stop, to pay attention, and to see what changes they need to make in order to help this animal recover. And it's a beautiful thing to watch. Now, what I have observed is that once people make that shift, they tend to maintain that pretty good. You get a whole new perspective when you know that your time is limited.
Right. And
Another, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, so that's a big lesson that our pets can teach us, is the fact that we're willing to spend so much time, energy, money, and give everything to our pets that we wouldn't even give to ourselves. But when they get in that situation, you're finding your owners are able to bring that into their own lives and transform even their own health as well, which is beautiful.
Yes. Yeah. But what they realize is time is precious. And the only thing that matters is being present with the things that you love and having the gratitude and appreciation to honor that every single day.
Yes.
Because time is not guaranteed to us and time is precious, and we need to be grateful every single day.
Yes. And a big part of being grateful, we have to take care of ourselves. We can't be running self-hate programs and being grateful at the same time. So we need to be running self-love programs, trying to make ourselves the best versions of ourselves each and every day, which is going to translate into our pets' health and happiness as well.
Yes. And don't they model that for us every day?
Oh, totally.
They just wake up in the moment.
Yeah.
They are present every day.
So
they aren't
present.
thinking about what activity they're going to do in a month. They're not worried about whether or not they're going to the boarding kennel. They're not worried about what they ate 2 weeks ago. They're just present.
Yeah.
And if we could really stop and be more like them, we would have much healthier, much happier lives.
And we would be creating in the present and getting so much more out of our lives too. We're not focused on something that happened yesterday or something that we're going to do in the future. We're not worried about what's going to happen 10 minutes from now. We're just, if we can learn how to just stay in the moment and do everything in the moment, it's a hard thing to achieve, but when you can do it, it's beautiful. And the synchronicities that come into your life is out of this world. I've experienced so many things this past year since I've become more in tune and present, and it's really crazy. Even just over the weekend, so many connections I made while I was out of town, and because I was aware the entire time, every person I talked to, I was present and in the moment. And it's just very cool to see this shift and to see how quickly things can change and how much better your life can be when you are present.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of metaphors to be applied that our pets also bring into our lives. So we try to make the connection between the challenges that the and the metaphor of that relationship. In Chinese medicine, all of the organs are related to an emotion, a color, a taste, and sound, and all that. And so we pay attention to that as well. So if I see an animal that comes in and liver is their number one challenge, I'm paying attention to find out who in that household has anger management issues, and it always comes out. So
Okay.
it's really fascinating to me how well we can pick up the hints. Now, for me, I think that life is a big hologram and we have all these clues around us, and how good you are at finding the clues is part of the game, right? The more attentive you are, the more clues you pick up, the better you win the game.
Totally.
So I pay attention to all those little clues. I listen to the words that people use. I listen to the type of language that they're using as they're speaking. Are they beating themselves up? Are they beating up family members? Are they being kind and generous? Are they even being present? Are they understanding why they're even here? Are they using their skills to their highest and best good? And for many people, no one's ever posed that to them before. So isn't it interesting that people end up coming in to my office, and I know there's no accident to the person who walks through that door, that there is something that they are here or in my office to experience. And then
Oh,
I just do everything within my power to make sure that that experience happens for them,
that's amazing.
whatever that looks like.
Yeah, I'm so fascinated with the way you are working with pets, and I love that you're using the traditional Chinese medicine and really looking deep into the emotions. And I love everything that you're saying is just amazing. And if I had a pet, I would be coming to you for sure. Can you let everybody know
Thank
how
you.
they can get in touch with you if they're interested in consulting with you on their pets?
Absolutely. My website is pascovet.com. I'm going to spell it, but P like in Paul, A like in Apple, S like in Sam, C like in cat, O like in orange, and then vet. I'm a veterinarian, so pascovet.com is our website. And there's a plethora of information from videos to blogs to articles. There's just a lot of information there. And then I have a free ebook that people can download, which is the 5 steps to healing. So we
Okay,
always encourage people to get more knowledge.
wonderful. Thank you so much. And let's get back to some more ways that we can, the lessons that we can learn from our pets. What are some other things that you've really found people are gaining from being a pet owner?
Well, I have one particular case that came to mind where the lady had been a caregiver for family members, and there was a lot of anger and resentment and frustration. She had to give up her career, and then she ends up taking on somebody else's dog who ended up being a full-time job for her. This dog required a lot of attention, and it was a cancer patient.
Okay.
And through the through the evolution of healing the dog, it was fascinating to watch what was coming up for her and how she was able to see the hurts and the pain and the things that she needed to forgive for others, and more importantly for herself, in order for that healing to occur. It
Yeah,
was really remarkable.
that's beautiful.
I've
And
also had people figure out what they want to do in life. They were
Yeah.
stuck in a job because they were just there and they just didn't think that they could do anything else. And they really weren't sure what to do.
Yeah.
And then through our conversations, the light bulb comes on and they go, oh my gosh, I have something that the world needs. And it's something I can provide.
Hmm.
Yeah. And then they go and create it.
Amazing. And
Very cool.
one thing that I absolutely love about being around pets, and one of the I'm gonna get a pet. I will get my dog one of these days. I'm too busy right now, so I wouldn't give it enough attention at this time. So it's gonna have to wait a few years. But I love it because helps you release your inner child. You have more time to play. It's just so much fun, and you're exercising more, which is a big thing for adults. As we get older, we have a harder time finding the time to exercise. So dogs and any other pets are amazing for that. They're gonna get you outside, get you more active. And that's one of the biggest things I just love. I feel like a kid again whenever I'm around any pets.
Well, there are actually studies that show that people who own dogs in particular
Hmm.
have lower blood pressure, have less heart disease, they're more active, and they're more socially engaged. Because when you take your dog out for a walk, you are now engaging with a community of people who love dogs.
Yeah,
So, yeah, all those things are absolutely true.
yeah. And I pulled up a little list here too, which I'll just read off a couple of things which I loved. They they're so loyal and trustworthy and trusting of you, which is a beautiful thing to because I feel like some people kind of put a wall up because they've been hurt. So by lifting that wall for your pet and getting that loyalty from them and that trust from them, you're able to open that up to other people now. And you're kind of closing off that old hurt that you may have experienced, which I think that's a beautiful thing. And it's hard for people to let that back down. And then another one that I loved was just how they relax you. They're calming, and when you're petting them, it just soothes you. And um, I'm sure it does a lot of amazing things for your health. I'm sure you could give us some information on that and some statistics from uh, how it can calm the person down.
Absolutely. And what children can learn.
Yeah.
Children can learn responsibility to think of some other living species before themselves. I love it when I hear families talk about how the animals get fed before the kids get fed.
Mm-hmm.
So the kids have to get their food, get the animals' food put together, make sure the water is clean, walk the dog, take care of the cat. And they learn how to nurture and care for something else, how to give love and then receive that unconditional
Mm-hmm.
love. I think those are amazing lessons for children
Yeah,
to learn
definitely.
kindness and generosity and compassion.
Yes, and the responsibility, like you said, that's a big thing. I got my first pet. I actually have this little story. I'll make it a short one. When I first got my dog, I was in grade 10. And my parents were like, no, you're not getting a dog. I would beg for a dog for I don't know how long, but we had two dogs prior to, and my brother and I were just a bit too young when we got our first dogs. That it didn't work out. We didn't take care of them, and it was just didn't work out. But anyway, I was like, this one will be different. I will take care of this dog so good, and I will love her. I will do everything. And so I made a bet with my dad at a soccer game. We were playing like the hardest team in the league. I was like, Dad, if I score 5 goals, you're buying me a dog. And so I told my whole team, you guys pass the ball to me the entire game, because if I score 5 goals, I get a dog. So anyway, I scored the 5 goals, and I got my little girl. She was a little Shih Tzu Bichon, and I took care of her forever until I moved to Kelowna, and then she stayed with my dad on the acreage. But she lived a beautiful, beautiful life. She was a very happy dog, and she taught me so many amazing things. And responsibility was a big, big part of that, because I was taking care of her. I was her caregiver, and that just it preps you for future too, especially being a woman. You're gonna have babies one of these days, right? So it helps you. You're cleaning up the poop, you're doing all these things, and it's just such a beautiful thing to be able to take care of another little creature who can't take care of itself, right? It's amazing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know I didn't get my first pet until I was 10 years old. And if I would have known this would have worked, I would have done it sooner. But
Yeah.
my mom had gone into the hospital for a minor procedure, and my dad and I went to visit her, and we stopped in the gift store on the way up to see my mom. And I had found this little ceramic cat, and it had sapphire blue eyes. I so remember this cat. And I just had to have it. I loved anything that was an animal. I never played with dolls. And so my dad buys it for me, and I washed it. I fed it. I carried it everywhere. I loved it. I talked to it. And my dad thought that I really thought that it was real. And he said, I can't have a psychotic child here. So he goes, she's getting a dog. So that's how I actually got my first dog. If I would only have known that's how it worked, I would have had a little horse statue and I would have all this other stuff way earlier.
That's so cute.
But
I
that
love
was
that.
how I got my first dog. So I really, even though I had a passion for animals my entire life, I came out of the womb wanting animals.
Yeah.
I really didn't get my first pet until I was 10.
Wow, that's such a cute story. I love that. I remember I wanted like a dog so bad that I got one of those battery operated ones that just like spun around and yapped and whatever. And I was like, well,
see,
it'll do for now, I guess. I did get that dog eventually.
Oh, that's funny.
Too funny. So just so everybody knows out there, our phone lines are open. So if you have any questions for Dr. Marlene Siegel, you can call in at 1-888-570-9445. And yeah, let's get back into it. Let's continue talking. What do you find is different between different types of pets and the benefits that they can offer to their owners?
Well, look at the difference between the personality of cats and dogs. Your cats are typically more independent. We say that, well, this is a statistic actually. There are over 60 million households in the United States that have a dog. There's over 60 million households have a dog in the United States. There are over 47 million households where a cat with a two-legged person.
Okay.
Did you get that?
A two-legged person?
So we have dogs and cats share their home with us. So cats are notoriously independent. And they, where a dog will come when you call them, cats take a message and get back to you. So isn't it interesting if you look how people bond to their pets? Don't people look like their animals?
They do.
For the most part. They do. And they can take on similar personality traits, and they have that as well. And then people who have cats, especially those who are only cat people, have very different personalities than people who may have dogs and cats, or who are more dog people than they are cat people. And then we have the horse people, then we have the farm animal people. So there's an eclectic array out there. And it's not that anything is right or wrong. I think it's just interesting to look at the types of personalities and the animals that they're drawn to.
Right. And I know, for just speaking from experience, because I've only ever had dogs. Actually, we did have bunnies, guinea pigs, a hedgehog, and just lovebirds or something like. We had a couple different things, but the majority was. Actually, we did have bunnies. Was guinea pigs. Oh, a hedgehog. My audio. And just lovebirds are a little weird on me. Thank you. Sorry about that. But so with dogs, I found they're just so much more warm and empathetic, and they connect with you in a different way. Like, do cats offer that same empathy as dogs offer you?
In a totally different way.
Okay.
So cats pick you, and they will pick the person in the household that they care for the most. And they're independent. They come when they want to come, and they take a message otherwise. Now, there are exceptions to every rule, but it's just interesting how different they are. They have a more aloof nature. You can teach cats how to do games. You can teach them tricks, but notoriously much harder to do than you have for your dogs.
Right.
Horses, it's another whole category. Anybody who's had young daughters, what do they love? They love their horses. And there's a special bonding between a child and their horse. I mean, even adult, yes. I mean, because I love my horses. But I remember as a young girl, the bonding that I had to my horse was so strong, and we were a team. The reason I actually got into alternative medicine actually had to do with my horse and my youngest daughter, who was riding at the time and had an accident. And the horse actually saved my daughter's life.
Oh, wow.
And it was in my quest to fix the horse that it took me into alternative medicine. So, yeah, and look at that as an example. Here we're talking about what animals teach us. So I'm plugging along, I'm in practice, had a really nice going practice, busy, raising two daughters, homeschooling, and yet there was a calling for me that I had not stepped up to the plate to do. And I remember my personal chiropractor became certified in doing animal chiropractic. And he comes up and he goes, "You really need to learn how to do this. This is really amazing." And I just remember saying, "Dan, talk to the hand," because I was so busy. I really did that. I was so busy and I had so much on my plate. And I said, "I just can't take on anything else. I can't see myself doing this. So if I have a case that needs chiropractic work, I'll call you."
Yeah.
True story.
Yeah.
And I would call him for the really tough cases, and he would come up and he would treat them, and all was good. And then we had this problem where my daughter and Lily, the horse, had this accident, and I didn't have a choice. I called my chiropractor, and he came out and he worked on her. And to this day, she had the most painful neck of any animal I've ever treated. And I didn't have a choice. We were leaving on a circuit, and she needed to be worked on, and he wasn't willing to leave his practice and go with me. So that left me, and I had to step up to the plate. And that took me into nutrition, that took me into acupuncture, that took me into homeopathy and herbs, and everything that I learned because I wanted to help Lily. I ended up including that into my practice. So just even looking at myself as a transformation, I used to be really shy.
Mm-hmm.
And if I was in a crowd of people, I would die inside if somebody even said my name out loud. Really? I mean, it just, isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And then when all of this transpired, you really, you just know that you have to step up. You have all of this passion
Mm-hmm.
inside of you that just needs to be shared. And so now I speak in public. I spoke at the Truth About Cancer,
Mm-hmm.
the live event. I was in front of 10 million people.
That's
That was my first
amazing.
speaking engagement. 10 million people live streamed,
Wow.
191 countries, and a live audience of 1,500.
Amazing.
First
Good
time
for
ever,
you.
right?
That's incredible.
So, when I'm telling you, these animals will take you, direct or indirect, they're going to take you where you need to go. You just have to be able to accept it and go with the flow.
Definitely. And listen to those synchronicities. They're coming toward to you for a reason. So that's amazing that you jumped on
Yes.
on board with that.
Every person, every teacher, every opportunity, it just flowed into my life. And all I had to do was say, "I'm willing."
Yes.
And it was amazing because it just was just in the right timing and just at the right pace and just the right intensity for everything to work perfectly.
That's
It was just incredible.
I love
So
that.
I would encourage our listeners out there to pay attention to what you're being led to do. And it may not be through a pet,
Hmm.
but this is a pet show. It may be through a family member, it may be through what you're involved with, but
Hmm.
just realize that those are happening for a reason, and they're not happening to torture you. Even the ouchy things, I think, are just a course correction,
Totally.
right? You're just a little off path,
Yeah.
and so something has to happen to knock you back on path. Because I was in my little comfy sandbox
Yeah.
until Lily had her accident. I just had a very full life. I was distracted. I was busy. I didn't really want to take on anything else. I was going to be very content with what I was doing. And I was doing good in the world. I was a really good practitioner. But
You stepped your game
I
up.
had a bigger calling, right?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
and if anybody would have said to me 10, 15 years ago, you are going to be on stage, you're going to be teaching and lecturing, you're going to change the world with a brand new way of feeding animals, and you're going to create therapy centers that allow people to be able to reach these technologies all over the world, I would have said, "Are you crazy?
Yeah.
I can't even fathom that."
Yeah.
And yet just a few short years later, here I am with just the right people showing up at just the right time to make each thing happen.
It's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah.
And we have our first caller. Caller, when you are ready, you can ask your question.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can.
Yeah, I can hear
Hello?
you. Hi.
Lovely. I was just listening to what you're saying, how our pets can take on our emotional issues if we have anger. I have fear, and my dog can sense that. We live in a country area. Um, there's hardly any houses around, but there's some lovely walking tracks. And my dog used to love going. I used to take her for a walk with the lead, and I've heard of that many people. We do have a lot of new people living in the area now, and there's a lot of dogs just roaming around without leads, without their owners. And now I'm too frightened to take my dog for a walk in case my dog gets attacked. So basically, we live on 1 acre of land, so it's quite big, and we have our own little walking tracks around the backyard. But I know my dog loves walking, and I know she can sense my fear when I see other dogs come near her. Is I know it's not good for her, but my fear is if she gets attacked by another dog, and if she did, if I was walking with her on a lead and another dog came along and attacked her, what can I do, or what do you advise to break up a dog fight? Is there any easy technique, or what do you do in that situation?
Well, there's several. I'm getting feedback as well. So one of the things you can do is have a walking stick with you, and because you don't want to be putting your hands in between dogs that are fighting for sure, and you want to be able
Right.
to have something that you can push between them. Some people carry, it's like a little
Mm.
mace, but it's a more gentle. It's not going to be harmful, but something that you can spray that would make them stop and back off, because that's a
Uh-huh.
legitimate. Uh, I don't want to say fear. I think that's a legitimate concern that if you have a lot of dogs that are running around, that the potential for a dog fight to occur certainly is there. But there is something to
Mhm.
be said for the energy that you're putting out. Because as you put out that fear of something attacking your dog, you are literally having the intention of it. And it's almost like you're sending out a vibrational welcome for that experience to happen to you. There's
Right.
a fine line between don't do things dumbly, like uh, don't
Mhm.
go out at night into dangerous areas by yourself because that's just not a smart thing to do. If you still want to walk your dog and you don't feel like the dogs that are in the neighborhood are safe because maybe there's large dogs, maybe there's pit bulls or rottweilers, or you've seen a dog out there that is aggressive, well then don't go there. Go find a different place that you can walk where the two of you can enjoy your activities, but just not put yourself into a circumstance where it's dangerous. I don't know that that
Right.
totally answered your question. Your first question was, how can you protect your dog if your dog got in a dog fight? So a walking
Mm.
stick or a mace or something you can spray on them, I would start with that. But I would
Uh-huh.
also think ahead and say, what can I do to prevent a problem? Use it proactively and go find a place where you can enjoy that is safer.
Right.
Was that help?
So
Was
with
that
the
helpful?
mace, is that, yes, very. Is that the mace? Is that like a aerosol can or something you carry with
Yes.
you, or where do you buy mace?
I would go on. Are you from the United States? I don't think so, right?
No, no, I'm not. Yeah, from Australia.
But you have access to Amazon, right?
Yes, yes, we do.
Okay, go on Amazon and just look up. Uh, Maybe use the word like animal uh, or protection sprays, and just see what comes up. And you want to get
Uh-huh.
something that isn't going to be toxic, but that will also take care of the problem if you were to get attacked. And we do see at least 4 or 5 times a year, we'll have a dog come in that the owner was just walking in their neighborhood and a dog came out and attacked them. So it happens. It is certainly something to be aware of. But again, don't focus on the bad thing. What I like to do is say, okay, if the thought comes up that this is a dangerous situation, what can I do differently so that I avoid that and I focus on the behavior that I want to have instead of focusing on the one I don't want to have.
Yes, very good. Thank you for that. That's a great
Is that
help.
good?
And I do have a walking stick. I haven't actually, I haven't actually used it, so I didn't know whether I should
can't
hit
hear
the
the
other
caller.
dog with the walking stick or just try and push it away, like you said. But if a
Can
vicious
anybody hear
dog
me?
latches onto
Abby,
Yeah,
can you
I,
hear me?
chest
I can
of
hear you.
another dog, that it's
I
it's
have no
almost
audio,
impossible to break
guys.
them up.
I
Oh,
am
oh,
not
Dr.
hearing
Siegel just
anybody.
lost her
Oh,
audio.
there you
It'll
go.
just be.
I got it.
Oh, she's
Sorry.
back. Okay, perfect.
My bad.
One thing I was
Okay.
gonna say as well. I don't know, Dr. Siegel, if you can confirm this, but when walking your dog, walk your dog confidently, right? Like be certain of yourself that you're gonna be fine, and
Yeah.
that's gonna put out that energy.
Yes, but
Very good.
that's that fine line between setting your intention
Mm-hmm.
and also putting yourself into a safer situation.
Yes. Yes.
So don't do things that are going to be dangerous and say, "Oh, I'm going to be fine," right? If you're going to jump off a building, put a parachute on.
Yeah.
Don't set the intention that I'm going to fly when I
Yeah.
jump off the building, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of insane. So there are still laws of gravity that we have to deal with, and there are still laws of the universe. And one of them is use your common sense and don't put yourself into situations that are dangerous.
Don't take
And
candy from a
the fact that
stranger.
it even came up, the fact that you even had that concern is almost like the universe saying to you, go make a different decision, go somewhere else and find the activity that works for you, but in a different situation. So I look at that as a positive.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
calling.
Thank you for
Okay,
calling
thank
in
you
all the
very
way from
much.
Australia.
Thank you.
Love your
Okay, you
accent.
have a lovely day.
Have a
Thank
great
you.
day.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Awesome. Wonderful. And again, everybody, we are open for all calls. If you have any questions about your pets, Dr. Siegel is here to answer them all. And again, the phone number is 1-888-570-9445. Wonderful. Speaking of jumping off a building, I jumped off the Stratosphere in Vegas this weekend.
I saw a client of mine do that. That is insane. There is no reason to have that kind of adrenaline rush. I get
it was
thinking of
crazy.
you doing it.
I was like a sign of the cross. Like I was like, oh God, everybody, every spiritual being, please protect me right now because I'm about to just fall off a building. But it was
What kind of a rush
thrilling.
was that?
You know what? Actually, like the guy, he was like 3, 2, 1, jump, and I was like, I can't. I was like, I can't. And he was like, you can do this. You can do this. And he said it again, and I was just like, okay. And I just jumped off the building, and that was the scariest part. Was actually free jumping off of the ledge, and so you're suspended with a bungee cord, and then I was just like hands out, starfish and going down basically. And I was expecting crazy butterflies, and it wasn't really that intense. I was expecting it to be more intense, but it was really fun. And then we did the one where the track goes off the edge of the stratosphere and like tips down, and it's like you're gonna fall off, but it stops you. That was scarier.
Wow.
Yeah.
So did you, you know how when you go on the zero gravity rides on roller coasters, did you feel like you lost your stomach on that?
With the
jump?
With the jump, not really. Yeah.
Interesting.
It happened so quick that it was just, I was like, oh, and I was just free falling, and I was like, okay, I guess this is what's happening right now. And I just like enjoyed it. I was screaming the whole way down, but it was.
So here I am
fun.
paying attention to metaphysical details. So we just had a caller who talked about fear.
Yeah.
And then you brought up the fear of jumping off of a building. And I ate fire. You've ever seen the fire eaters where you take the fire and you down the mouth kind of thing?
Yeah.
Right. And what I learned from that was that fear, which I refer to as future events appearing real.
Yeah.
And I actually use that in my talk today. So obviously there's 4 times that it's come up in one day. It must mean that we have to talk about it.
Yes, totally.
That's where that metaphysical pick the clues up and pay attention to that. So fear is future events that appear real.
Mm-hmm.
I'm about to put fire in my mouth. Now, for 60 years of my life, I have not missed my mouth. I found it every time without even thinking about it.
Yeah.
But the thought of taking this burning fire stick and putting it in my mouth, I was terrified. I was thinking, what if I miss? What if it hits my cheek? What if I light my hair on fire?
Yeah.
I got long hair. And so the worst part of eating fire was the anticipation
Mm-hmm.
of getting hurt.
Yes.
So I would imagine the same thing about jumping off of a building. You already know you're in a bungee cord. Logic tells you that unless the bungee cord breaks, that you are going to be caught.
Yeah.
But it's the fear of something going wrong, the anticipation that really holds us back. And that's true in most of our lives. You notice animals, I won't say they don't have fear because they can be taught fear, but they're willing to take that next step.
Right.
So we as humans, a lot of times we don't step into our power. We don't take opportunities because of our fear. What if I'm rejected? What if I fail? What if nobody wants to come to me because of the new services I have? What if this doesn't work? What if that doesn't work?
Yeah.
And so we don't really go past that fear. It limits us. So I like to say that you take fear and you make it less, and then you take fear and less and you combine it and it becomes fearless.
Fearless. Got to face your fears.
Got to do it.
Yeah.
And when you do, the ability to you have a power that it can't even describe. You feel like you can accomplish anything.
Mm-hmm.
So jumping off that building, do you not feel more powerful?
Oh, so much more powerful. And heights was always one of my fears. And standing on the ledge of a building, that always freaked me out. So actually doing that, I was like, oh my gosh, okay, I can do anything. I got this. It was amazing.
I just think it's hysterical that I started this conversation with don't jump off a building without a parachute because that would be silly, right?
Yeah.
And then we have a caller who talks about fear, and then you jump off a building, I eat fire.
Yeah.
Pay attention to this, everybody, because obviously this was meant to be part of this conversation for all of our listeners to realize that when you see things happening in patterns in your life, whether it's people coming in, whether it's events happening, whether it's circumstances that keep repeating themselves, all of that is part of those clues. Just like our animals bring information to us and they bring us to places that we need to be at the time that we need to be there. They bring information to us. They bring healers to us. None of that is an accident. Everything has a purpose and a time and a place. And we just have to be able to slow down long enough to open our eyes and open our hearts and go, oh, maybe there's something more to this. Let me go ahead and go down that path and see where it takes me. So somewhere out there, somebody is going to need to hear this conversation and they're going to go, she was talking right to me.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That was
and they're going to
beautiful.
become fearless.
Mm-hmm.
And the more you do it, it gets closer and closer. So it eventually becomes fearless.
Definitely.
It becomes one word.
It's beautiful. And that's even a thing too. Even doing these shows when I first started, which was like over a year ago now, I guess. But I was so scared doing my first ones that I ever had to do. I was like so nervous, and now I'm like, this is so much fun. Like I absolutely love it. I'm having a great time.
So look at the growth.
Yeah.
Look at and where this takes you. When we talk to you in 10 years, it's going to take you to another level and then another level and another level, because you're allowing yourself to develop the skills, the experiences, the skill sets that you're preparing yourself for the next thing.
Just like you never thought you would do motivational speaking or lectures or anything like that in front of large crowds, and you're talking to 10 million people.
and now I do TV shows, I do podcasts, I do radio shows. It's really rewarding. And even Dr. Wolf challenged me because he goes, this is going to be a live call-in show. And I went, really? But we don't know what they're going to ask.
Yeah.
He goes, I know, it makes it so fun.
Yeah.
And then I just had to trust.
Yeah.
Really, I had to put away everything else and just trust that I would have the right answer for the right person. And I got this.
You got this.
It's been awesome.
Yeah. Oh, it's so much fun, and the show's been so popular. Everybody absolutely loves it. We get so many calls, and yeah, it's a huge hit, definitely.
Awesome.
Yes,
Well, I think we covered a lot.
yes, and we are open for calls. Looks like we're answering everybody's questions without them needing to give us a call.
And that's okay.
That's all good. Is there anything else that you want to touch on about different lessons that our pets can teach us?
I think the most important thing that I want to recap with is for all of us to be paying attention to the details, right? You want to pay attention to who are the people in your life?
Mm-hmm.
What are the circumstances in your life? What are the pets that are coming into your life? What are they bringing to your life? What are the challenges that you're experiencing, whether it's through different people, family members, relationships, work, whether it's health challenges to yourself or health challenges to your pet. All of that is extremely important information. And when we stop long enough to analyze that or at least reflect upon it, like let's say here I'm at the Gaylord Palms right now,
Mm-hmm.
just got done teaching an 8-hour ozone class to a bunch of holistic veterinarians, and it was amazing. And I'll reflect on that tonight and think about who I met, what kind of influence I will have on them, and what influence they'll have on me. In fact, the veterinarian that I'm here with at this conference, she was the doctor who diagnosed Lily when everybody else missed her diagnosis and told me, sorry, Dr. Siegel, your horse is not safe to ride, and you can either put her out to pasture or you can put her down.
Mm-hmm.
And then that led me to take my chiropractor. He worked on her and he said, you have to take this course, you need to learn how to do this yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So on the fly I take this. I actually I didn't even take the course yet. I agreed to come back after the horse show and take the class, but I was on the road with this horse and I said to the doctor who teaches the course, I got to treat her while I'm out here, can you just FaceTime me and walk me through this? And he did, with the promise that I was going to come back and take the class. Well,
Yeah.
wouldn't you know that that weekend I broke my arm at the horse show.
No
So
way.
when I got I did, and when I got home, I was in a cast and I was not really motivated to take another 4 days off to go to this course in Orlando.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't let me back out. He said, you are coming. I don't care if you come late, but you're coming.
Yeah.
So I did, and I met the doctor that I'm staying here with. I met her there, and she happened to be practicing real close to where I live, about an hour away, and we became really good friends. And she
Oh, the audio.
ozone because I do ozone, and from there she decided to come to this ozone conference, and she got us a hotel room, and they upgraded us to the presidential suite at no extra
Amazing.
charge. So we are living the big time
No
here,
kidding.
having a great time. But look at the relationship where she did a kindness to help me and never charged me. So here she was, my mentor, and now I turn around and I'm teaching her things, and we just have this synergy that we're just helping the world in such a big way. She's going to be part of the course that I have put together to teach pet owners and teach veterinarians how to integrate holistic medicine into their lives. So it just, everything just kind of keeps going and blending and evolving and going, and it was just an easy path and an easy flow. There was no resistance involved. We all just said, good timing, let's make it happen. And if it wasn't good timing and we didn't see each other for a year or two, it was no big deal. We knew it was going to come back around again.
Yeah.
So that's what I would have people to pay attention to. Is what you're doing creating a lot of resistance? And resistance can be either in you personally or in a family member or a loved one or in your pets.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're seeing a lot of resistance, there's something else that's trying to catch your attention to redirect you. And then you just have to sit back and go, what is it that I'm being redirected to do? And
Mm-hmm.
you may have to go find a practitioner who works either in emotional clearing or uh, medium work or whatever that looks like for you.
Mm-hmm.
But just first and foremost, you have to open the document, right? You have to turn the computer on. You got to look inside. You got to
Yeah.
find it. What is it that is no longer serving me? And then you can do something about it.
Perfect. That's I couldn't have said it better myself. That's absolutely amazing. And the emotional side of things. That's such a fascinating thing, especially with the pets and how they can pick up emotions and they can sense when you're going through something and they're there for you. They're there to support you. They're there to comfort you. And it's just such a beautiful relationship that you can share with your pets.
And I think that the job of being able to shift those low vibrating frequencies, those low vibrating emotions to the higher end, I truly believe that that is critical to our journey here. And because we can see that if you don't clear those trapped emotions, you don't get better.
No. And that's why lots of people find that if they have a certain condition, it doesn't ever just go away. It keeps coming back because they've never gotten rid of that emotion behind it.
Right. They
Even
never
I can
fix the
speak,
root cause.
yeah, I can speak for myself with that. I had a couple different things that were recurring, and then I finally realized that it was actually emotional. So I erased those programs, and I haven't really suffered from them in over a year now since reprogramming. So it's beautiful. We can heal. Our body wants us to heal. Our bodies are here to regenerate us back to our youthful state and back to being just in the perfect way that it was meant to be.
Wow, that's awesome. So, you have the list of what's going to be our next show?
Yeah, so the next Pet Star show with Dr. Marlene Siegel is on Wednesday, October 17th at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, as always. And the show for that one is going to be called How to Decide If It's Time to Put Down Your Pet. Sadder topic next week, but it has to be discussed. So that's going to be, again, or not next Wednesday, the Wednesday following, October 17th, and at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And tomorrow we are having a special Doc of Detox show on how to live pain-free at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time again. And that's tomorrow, Thursday, October 4th. And the next Energy Medicine show will be on Monday, October 8th at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, where Dr. Daryl Wolf and Dr. Marcel Wolf will be discussing healing with light. And they will be talking about the Bioptron light and a couple other different things about light. So definitely tune into that one. It's going to be really awesome. And for the full show schedule for all the Doc of Detox shows that we have, go to docofdetoxshow.com to check that out. And Dr. Marlene Siegel, any last words for everybody?
I'm just excited to see people start on this awakening journey, and I would love to hear the stories. I would love to find out what it was that they received, the aha moments, the patterns that they discovered, and share that with us.
Yes, that would be amazing. We want to hear from you. We want to hear about topics you want to hear about. So if you have questions about your pets, but you want it to be a big show on a specific topic, send that in to us. We'll definitely work some shows around what you want to hear. The show's for you. All of our shows are for you. We're here to educate you and to help you and your pets, and let's just make this world a more beautiful place. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. And again, Dr. Marlene Siegel, thank you so much for being here with us today. It's such an honor, and thank you for taking time out of your busy day. I know you're at the conference and you have a beautiful presidential suite that you need to go dance around in and have some fun. And everybody, thank you again so much, and we will see you next time.
Bye. Thank you, Abby. Bye-bye.
Hugo would come say bye, but he left. He got bored.
I heard. I can tell I don't hear him breathing anymore.
All right. Bye, everyone.